Okay, this is the second video to go with our roll die program. Now this time, notice I named it roll to die graphics with move. So I just first did a file save as and renamed it so that I accidentally do not mess something up. I always have that old file to grab if I need to and bring it back. But anyway, we're going to do some modifications on that one. And the first thing I did, notice I scrolled down, and the first thing I want to point out in my code is way down here at the bottom where we have it randomly roll a die, and notice I have 2, 2 here. I'm going to put that back to 1, 1 because I want to test it on the first die. But here's what's going on. So now before, real quickly, do not start typing my code and start copying my code. Do not scroll down to 168 and start typing all this. Just wait until I'm finished with this first portion of the explanation before you pause the video and start typing, because you're going to have more up here and it's going to be pushing this down. You won't be at 168. You're going to be much further down later. This kind of code here, this code for die 1. So let me just run this to show you what we're modifying our code to get to. What's the end result that we want? So I'll hit F5, and here's what it looks like. 2 die. So you have 2 die that get built and drawn off the screen, and then they move onto the screen using a for loop. And I'll explain the for loop here in just a minute. But so the first thing I did though was I'm showing you the picture over here because I want to start looking at the coordinates. First thing I did, I made a variable x1, y1, x2, y2, and notice I set it at a negative 300, and that's this point right up here. This x1 and y1 is this upper left corner. So I want this die to be drawn off the screen over here. So notice if this is a positive 100, well then a negative 100 goes about out to here, a negative 200 is about out to here, negative 300, so it's about right up here, the upper left corner. And then notice the y state remained the same. It's still a positive 100 because that's right here. So basically I'm going 1, 2, 300, 100. So it's about right here is where it starts. That's these two. Then these two, x2, which is the bottom right corner, I moved that one over as well. So if you look at the 300, basically that 300 is 400 less than the 100. So I took the 100 and subtracted 400, and I ended up with a negative 300. So since it's the reason I'm giving you the total distance is we're going to do the same here. What's this one? It is x2 started at 300. If we subtract off 400, we're at a negative 100, somewhere around here. Okay, so it draws it right there, makes the rectangle off the screen. And now the dots. We need to start with the dots off the screen. Now here, this is getting a little tricky because actually this dot is my number 4 dot. So if you look at the positioning here, negative 2 for the x and y, dot position 4. I called it positions because there's a total of 7 positions. 1, 2, and this is how I numbered them in this order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Why? Because when we have a 6, when we roll a 6, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if we roll a 5, we've got this one, this one, this one in the middle, this one, this one. So basically there's only 7 positions where the little dots can show up on this die. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 potential positions. And that's what I did with these. However, why is it in negative? Because this position number 1, again, I'm going to subtract 400. Right here, it's 150 in the x direction. So what's 400? Excuse me, 150 minus 400. It ends up being 250. What's this position right here? It's 250, 100. So it's in the x, it's at 250. So what's 250 minus 400? 150. So I'm just subtracting 400 in all of the x positions to make it move over. And now this is die 1, and I also have a die 2, but I'm not going to show you this code for die 2. I'm just going to go down here and show you that I do have a die 2 started, okay? Oops, I already revealed that, and that's fine. So I made my upper left corner for die 2 way over here to 550. and then 350. So the die 2 is way over here off the screen, and then it moves onto the screen. But I'm not going to show you the rest of these positions right here. I want you to figure it out, okay? And it's using the same variables, dot POS position 1, X, dot position 1, Y. And now let's go up top and I'll show you. And then you can start typing the code. So what's going on up here? Let's first look at the point positions. I used the variables x1, y1, x2, y2. So that's to draw the rectangle, point 1, point 2. That's point 1, point 2. But remember, it's off the screen, so it starts off at a negative 300 in the x position, and then this one over here ends up being a negative 100. All right, so that's point 1 and 2. So this would be negative 300, negative 100. You're not going to type that because you've got it right here in the variables, okay? All right, so now I changed my variable here to be die 1 instead of just die because I have 2 different die. And then I changed it down here to be die 2. All right, let's go ahead and run it. One other thing that I want to point out that I did, I increased my screen size to a 600 wide. So notice when I run it here, see how it's a little bit wider than it is tall? Because now it's 600 wide. Just makes it look better to fit both die on here. You could make it larger if you wanted. You could make it 1,000 by 1,000. That's fine, whatever you want. So now let's make sure dot 2 is working because I only fixed, even if you slow down the video and you try to copy 6, notice I haven't changed anything from our first step. It's all the same. So 6 is not finished, 5 is not finished, 4 is not finished, 3 is not finished, but 2 is finished. So my 1, this one is finished, and I've got the for loop. And why is it finished? Because look at my dots here. I've got dot position 4, because that's in the center, and it starts over here somewhere. And then the move that moves the dot in this for loop moves it on the screen with the die, the rectangle that gets moved. So both the dot and the rectangle both get moved in this for loop. So if you look down here, I did finish this one. Where is it? The dot 1, dot 2, here we go. Dot position 1 and dot position 7. Why is that? Because remember that what I numbered them was, this is position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I wanted it right here and right here for the two-sided die. Maybe you want yours to be over here, so you might do position 2 and 6. And that would be a two-sided, or a two-dot. So anyway, what we're looking at is this variable you have to change each time. And see, I did not change it down here for dot 1. See, they're just the numbers. And I did not put a for loop down here for number 3. So 2 is, I'll let it sit here for a while because you're going to want to look at this one to modify yours. I also have the for loop. There's dot 1 is moving and dot 2. So that's what you got to remember. When you copy this for loop down and you paste it down here, you need to add the dots each time because you're going to have more than one dot, obviously, or just one more added each time. All right, so let me just put it back up here to the top so you can look at that code for a second. Here's die 1, the modification I've made. Here's die 2, the modification that I made. You can pause it there if you want to look at it. And then I'm going to go down to the bottom and reveal when die 1 gets rolled. And I'll stop there, and I'm going to pause. I'm going to stop the video now. All right, have some fun with it.